Hi everyone, I'm Yogesh Shroff, partner at Magnus Hathaway Investments and ex-equity research analyst at Goldman Sachs. I'm actually a little scared making this video because I might be one of the first people saying this, and maybe 1 year later, people will call me stupid. But despite that risk, I think this conversation is very important. Over the last 1 year, you've probably heard almost every influencer saying the same thing: invest in US stocks, invest in US stocks. What's interesting is that very few people were talking about this 3 or 4 years ago. And let me be very clear, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि US investing is bad. In fact, having global allocation in your portfolio is essential. Now, let's first understand why investors have suddenly started remembering US investing. The answer is very simple. Since September 24, Indian markets have been slow. Mid caps and small caps have corrected almost 30 to 35% from their peaks. For many investors, portfolios haven't really moved anywhere. On the other hand, US markets have been booming. The kind of momentum and excitement that we saw in Indian small caps between March 23 and December 24 is very similar to what US markets have experienced over the last 1 year. और जब एक मार्केट एक दूसरे मार्केट से सिग्निफिकेंटली बेटर परफॉर्म करता है, इन्वेस्टर्स नेचुरली उस परफॉर्मेंस को चेस करने लगते हैं. बट बिफोर यू मूव योर मनी टू द यूएस, देयर आर थ्री थिंग्स दैट यू शुड थिंक अबाउट. Stay tuned till the end because the last reason is the most relevant reason for you. See, guys, we're not the ones who follow the herd everywhere. We are one of the few YouTube channels that actually do the hard work and bring out insights that most people are not talking about. So do subscribe if you want to stay ahead of the curve. Let's start with the first point. A lot of liquidity could move out of existing US stocks over the next 3 to 6 months. Why? Because potentially 3 mega IPOs are coming to the market: OpenAI, SpaceX, and Anthropic. For these companies, this is probably the ideal time to list. AI के अराउंड एक्साइटमेंट और इन्वेस्टर्स का इंटरेस्ट अभी एक्सट्रीमली हाई है और किसी को नहीं पता कि नेक्स्ट 6 मंथ्स बाद सेंटिमेंट इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग रहेगा या नहीं. At the same time, venture capital investors have invested massive amounts of money into these businesses over the last 3 years, and naturally, they'll be looking for liquidity and exits. Now, think about the scale of these IPOs. These companies have been valued close to even $1 trillion. Markets ने पहले कभी इस scale के IPOs नहीं देखे हैं. Even if these companies dilute only 5 to 10% of their equity, we are talking about IPO sizes worth tens of billions of dollars, potentially $50 to $100 billion each. And that kind of money has to come from somewhere. Before we go to the second reason, we have this amazing WhatsApp community where we do weekly Zoom calls, where we have open Q&As, we discuss stocks and sectors. Link is pinned in the comments. Do join. Currently it's free, but after a month, they are going to make it paid. So join now. The second reason is what happens after all this AI spending. Today, companies like Google, Meta, and others have committed to invest nearly $700 billion over the next 1 or 2 years towards AI infrastructure and capabilities. Ultimately, this capital has to generate returns because अगर companies hundreds of billions of dollars invest करती रहेगी, investors eventually एक simple सवाल पूछने वाले हैं: what profits are we getting in return? Even if you assume only a 10% return on that capital, you're talking about nearly $70 billion of additional annual profits. To put that into perspective, $70 billion is the total profit of some of the largest listed companies in the US. और अगर कंपनीज इन एक्सपेक्टेशन से मटेरियली शॉर्ट रह गई, इन्वेस्टर्स शायद फ्यूचर एआई स्पेंडिंग को फंड करने के लिए उतने विलिंग ना रहे. At that point, some of the liquidity currently flowing into AI-related stocks could slow down or at least become much more selective. Now, this is my view, and I could be completely wrong, but I think it's an important risk that investors should keep in mind when looking at US markets today. The third reason, and the one most relevant for all of you, हम सब ने देखा है कि rupee has depreciated sharply over the last 1 year. Depending on the period you look at, the fall has been around 10 to 12%. But this is not the first time this has happened. We have seen similar episodes during taper tantrum, during oil shocks, and during other periods of stress. और इनमें से काफ़ी situations में rupee around 10 to 15% depreciate हुआ है. What's interesting is that once RBI started intervening, the pace of depreciation slowed down and the currency recovered a meaningful portion of its losses. Not a full recovery, but still a meaningful one. My point is simple. Today you are investing in a market that has already had a tremendous run, and you are converting your rupees into dollars after a significant currency move. मतलब आप एक साथ equity risk और currency risk दोनों ले रहे हो. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. bubbles can remain irrational much longer than anyone expects. ये रैली 1 साल या 2 साल भी चल सकती है और इन्वेस्टर्स अच्छा पैसा भी बना सकते हैं. That's entirely possible. But from a risk reward perspective, I believe the probability of this AI trade going wrong is much higher today than it was few years back. And one thing investors should remember is the US stocks can be brutal when sentiment turns. Even some of the highest quality companies in the world, including Meta, have seen drawdowns of 60 to 70% in relatively short periods of time. I'm not saying don't invest in the US. मैं सिर्फ इतना कह रहा हूँ कि यूजुअली किसी एसेट को बाय करने का बेस्ट टाइम तब होता है जब उसके बारे में सब लोग बात नहीं कर रहे होते हैं. Not after everyone has started talking about it. Share this video with your investor friends and subscribe to the channel.